I over apologize
Yeah.
for everything. And you said that, and I know it's not a good thing, especially in the corporate world, but I can literally say sorry for just, my favorite one is sorry for disturbing you. Like, why am I even saying sorry? I can go up to my manager.
I've done
and
it
be like,
before as well.
"Sorry
I
for
used to do
disturbing
it.
you." And I'm like, oh, sorry that I'm late, or I'm just always saying
Yeah.
sorry. And thank you for tuning into the Mellow Space podcast. My name is Annabelle and I am your host. Today we have a very special guest. I have always wanted to talk about being in the corporate space, how to elevate your career and how to be that bad boss in your 9 to 5. And I really want to touch on subjects like salaries, gender biases, and I thought I wasn't the best person to do it. So it's really funny because one day I was scrolling through TikTok, and this is like a true story.
Okay.
One day I was actually scrolling through TikTok just randomly, and you popped up, and I was like, and the first thing I saw was biblical verses in leadership. I clicked on your page and all I saw was HR, how to do this, how to be like the woman of your dreams in your career. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need this girl on the pod right now. And her name is Ivy. Thank you so much for being here. She has been in HR for over 10 years. And as well as that, she makes so much content on just how to be the best version of yourself in your 9 to 5. And she gives you so much valuable, actionable tools that I follow in my personal life. So thank you so much, Ivy, for jumping on the pod. How are you? And do you want to give a brief introduction to yourself too?
Thank you, Annabelle. I'm so happy that you found me through TikTok, and I'm so happy that we've connected.
Yes.
Obviously, we spoke like over a month ago when I was in Ghana. But now we are here. So my name is Ivy Maria. As Annabelle mentioned, I've been in the corporate world for over 10 years. I'm a corporate babe, first generation babe, Christian girly, and my thing is careers and just helping, women thrive in their career and kill it in every way possible. I think there's so much on the internet about be a millionaire tomorrow,
Yes.
quit your 9 to 5, and all of these different statements and personas that people are kind of forced into, but you can actually create wealth for yourself in your 9 to 5, and that is what I preach, that's what I speak about, and I'm so happy today that we can speak about.
So we're going to dive straight into it.
Yes.
I really want to talk about salaries.
Okay.
And what I mean by salaries is negotiating your salary.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, negotiating salary has been such a hard topic, something that I haven't really done before. I've done it once and it was actually successful.
Oh, okay,
But
good.
that was just like off the whim. I don't know how I was feeling that day. It was literally off the whim.
So why did you do it that day?
The only reason why I did it is because I had 2 job offers.
Okay.
And I really wanted to assess the market at that
Okay.
time. One job offer was offering me much more than the job, I don't want to say the job that I have now, but the job that I was going for at the moment. So I just let them know I do have another job offer. They have told me this much, but I really want to work for this company, for you. Are you able to match? And they said, yeah. But I didn't really do any of like the research or anything. It was just off the whim that this other company is offering me more. Can you offer it? Can you match? So they don't lose me as a candidate, really.
Yeah,
So that's how I did it. But I know, for example, a lot of women struggle to negotiate their salary. And me, before, it was coming from more of a scarcity mindset.
I thought you would say that.
It was really coming because I already feel like I already have the job. I should be, what's that word? I should be grateful that they're already going to give me this salary. What else? Why am I asking for more? So how do you kind of get out of that mindset, and what tips do you have for actually negotiating your salary?
Yeah, and before I jump into that, I think based on what you've said, at that time you mentioned, you know what, I didn't even think about it. I just thought, let me negotiate, because you had 2 offers on the table.
Yeah.
So probably your subconscious felt a lot more confident because you were like, you know what, if they say no,
I got this one anyway.
Exactly.
And that's exactly how I felt.
And going back to scarcity, I feel like a lot of the time, it's sad, but for women, we are taught, be grateful for what you get.
Exactly.
Be thankful. If you've got it, it's fine.
Don't
Even when
ask
you go and apply
anymore.
for jobs, it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to be so confident. I've got to know that I will get a call before I apply for this job. So when we think about the way that we've grown up,
Yes.
going in to even go for a job and apply for a job and even get to an offer is like, oh my gosh, how dare I negotiate?
Ask for more,
and I think
yeah.
a lot of us have those thoughts. But let me just flip it slightly, let's flip it to relationships, right? If you were in a relationship that someone has approached you, someone wants to get to know you, someone wants your number, but actually they're beneath you, let's just say, you're not going to give your number just because. Because, oh my gosh, because I might not get someone else walking up to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to say jobs and relationships are the same,
but that makes
it's
so
a
much
similar
sense.
analogy. I think a lot of the time, like, people don't negotiate because they're worried that something else won't come along. But if you believe in your source and you believe in your skills, you believe in your talents, you will know that, yes, that company is even lucky to have you as an employee. A lot of the time when they've like mapped out a job description, they're looking for XYZ skills. If you know you possess those skills, you know they've interviewed a series of candidates, it's very unlikely that they will take the offer back. And I think a lot of people are scared of that.
Exactly.
I think worst case scenario is they'll say no. And if they say no, it's like, okay, you can't give me an increase now. When can we discuss this? Could we have another conversation after my probation in 6 months' time? How about the bonus package? What does that look like? Can we negotiate that? And I think sometimes people may not consider other elements to negotiate as separate from the salary package.
Just a question, can that actually be put into a contract? So for example, to say in 6 months' time, I would like a pay review.
Yeah, so some companies are really good at putting, if it's not in a contract, they'll put it in writing. Maybe in your offer letter. So it's like start date this, job title, package, offer details, and there'll be a sentence perhaps to say in 6 months' time, not promising that you will get an X salary. It could be something like, upon the case that you deliver X, Y, Z, there will be a conversation that we have. I've been in situations where I've put it into people's contracts, into people's offer letters, and sometimes people want that assurance, especially if they're turning down another offer. So I feel like the gender pay gap, a lot of the time it does happen because men, if I tell you the amount of times I've seen men not even, like, they don't even breathe. They're literally like, okay, what about this? I want to up my salary to this. Actually, I believe my worth is this. They just go in straight away. However, I've seen like so many women, they literally accept as soon as you tell them on the phone.
That's me.
Literally, that's me. But you should always take the time just to reflect, because also people feel like if you negotiate at the beginning, is your manager going to think, oh, that girl's so greedy?
Exactly.
Like, are they going to be like, oh, you know that girl Annabelle, we gave her an offer.
Exactly.
Can you believe? No, they actually forget about it. Like, it's just a one-time thing. Often they want you more than you actually believe they want you, and that is the best time to negotiate, when you're actually stepping in.
One thing too that you just said, when an employer calls you and tell you you've got the job, you don't have to say yes right there and then.
No.
You can take time to...
Even as simple as, thank you so much, I'm so excited, please can you send it to me in writing? I just want to make sure I understand everything and I'll come back to you.
Okay.
You don't even have to give a time frame. Just I'll come back to you. That gives you enough time to literally digest it all. You need to check what is your notice period, what is your probation period. Sometimes in companies, let's say if your probation period is 3 months, they might make your notice period that you have to give them longer than the notice they have to give you. Let's say, God forbid, if there was ever a time they had to like part ways with you, things like that, like people need to look out for it. And so if you're accepting an offer before you've seen the contract, how can you officially say yes if you don't even know what you're stepping into?
Oh, that's very true. I remember some time ago when I got a job, they offered, and one of the things that they said was like, oh, you have to cancel all your other interviews that you have because we're going to take you. Silly me was like, oh my God,
Was this before the offer, or like what stage was this?
This was when I got accepted.
Okay,
so when they offered
giving
me
you the job.
They were giving me the job.
Okay.
And I was very honest, and I told them, listen, I've got another job offer, and I've got, at that time I did have like 5 different interviews.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I had told them, and I was telling them that, so like, you know, I'm in, people want
hot
me.
Like,
I am hot property right now. People want me. You can't be messing me around. That then backfired on me, because they were like, you need to drop all your other interviews that you have and basically decline the other offer. And then at that time, I was very like, do you know what? Let me just go with this, because I was operating from a scarcity mindset. And literally the only reason I asked for that pay rise is because I had another offer. And I'm like, either way, I know if they say no, I can go back to this person. Yeah. But if that employer was not there, I bet you any money, I would have gone with that initial offer. So it's very interesting when you say like, all these white men or whatever, or men in general, can just ask for what they want and not feel any way about it. But when we do it, as women, or even as black women, we might feel like, oh my gosh, they're going to see us as maybe like
trouble,
like who was she to
greedy.
be asking?
No,
exactly. And really and truly, like you said, they forget because it's not coming out of their money, like their bank, like they're not paying us through your manager's bank. They're gonna forget about it. And if they understand their market and if they really want you, they will actually, you know, give you your worth. So I completely agree with that. So what tips would you have for actually negotiating your salary?
So to be confident in the first place, that you're not just literally pulling a number out of anywhere, you've got to do your research before. A really quick and easy way, which also means you don't have to do all the work, is go to recruitment agencies. Literally say to them, like, here's my CV. I'm interested, I'm looking for a new job. What is the market paying right now for my expertise? They'll literally, sometimes they'll even do it for you on the phone while you're on the phone.
Wow.
Sometimes they'll email you back or call you back and they'll say, okay, I think you could get a salary between this and this. So you know that you're coming with facts.
Yes.
So do it with about 3 agencies, I would say, so it's consistent. The thing about Glassdoor is it's not always accurate. So it's okay, I would say like 75% of the time. So if you do a mixture of those 2 things, when it comes to your offer that you're getting, you know when you're asking for more money, you're not asking just because. You know that this is what the market is paying for your skill set. And the other thing is, even before you get to the offer stage, you should have an idea of what the salary level is anyway. I know people who have been interviewing, oh my gosh, I've got an interview, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. But the offer they got is literally like 10, 20K, less than what they had anticipated.
So, sorry, sometimes when you see a job like being posted, they don't actually put the salary in there. They'll say something like, competitive? What does that even mean, first of all? And it's like, what do you then do? Because you go, can you ask in the interview stage, what is the salary?
Yeah, so if you're interviewing through a recruitment agency, sometimes it's easier. You can get the recruitment agent to tell you what is the range. But if you're interviewing directly with a company, you can just say, look, I really don't want to waste my time or waste your time. Please, can you just give me an idea of what the range is for this role, just so I know what kind of level we're at?
Yeah,
just keep it simple. Okay.
I think what you're trying to say is just be direct, like literally. And I think we
to.
need to do that. Just ask for what we want, because more time we're just in our heads. Really and truly, if they will give you the information, and if they don't, then that's a red flag. Maybe you shouldn't be going into that company.
And some companies are really good with having like an offer package, like a booklet kind of thing. They'll literally have, like, if it's healthcare, dental or insurance, or the pension, how they contribute. Ask them for that. Even if you're feeling a bit nervous about the salary, you can just say, oh, can you tell me what other benefits that you provide? And especially if you've got other offers going on, sometimes it's not even just about the salary. It's like the total package, because a company's salary could be less, but if they're not offering, let's say, healthcare and another company is, when you actually total it all up together, sometimes the other company's offer could be worth more. That's why it's so good to know, like, what the full package is before you even get to the point of saying, yes, I want to accept, or actually, can we negotiate? And like I said, like, even if it's a no, sometimes that's better than not asking for more. Than in your head, you're like, oh,
exactly.
I wish I asked for more money. Like 1 month down the line, 2 months, oh, you know what? I don't know. And there's nothing worse than starting a new job when you're feeling a bit of regret. And then what's going to happen is, when it comes to the annual cycle, you're going to try and make up
exactly
that salary that you didn't ask for.
And
it's just starting in a messy way. So literally just ask straight from the beginning.
It is, and it's so important. Benefits. I've learned that the hard way. I used to work in Central London. I used to get all the benefits. Literally, I used to get everything, even gym. I used to get all the benefits.
Is it, what kind of benefits did you get?
Like, I used to get really good healthcare, private healthcare. I used to get the gym. We used to get like a travel kind of bonus. If you live a certain mile away from your from where you work, they'll pay a certain amount of money towards your travel. That was really good. There was a gym one too, with the gyms around the area.
That's really good.
There was one too where I used to work for the council, with the council, Westminster Council, and used to get like bidding on properties. Used to get like a subsidized rent amount. They'll help with that. Listen, now I'm working in where I live. All I get is healthcare, and I'm just thinking, oh.
But you know, that's such a good example. A job like that, even let's just say if they were paying you, I don't know, 5K less, but when you add up gym membership, reduced rent, the travel being subsidised, the healthcare, especially we know what GPs are like sometimes trying to get an appointment. Honestly. They want you to be on the floor first. Like all these
even
different
store
things.
discounts. I used to get so many discounts, like what's it called? Perk Box, I think it was
Oh, yeah,
called.
yeah, I've heard of them,
Perk.
yeah,
I used to
yeah.
get all of it. Now, I can't even get 2% off somewhere else. It's so annoying, but I do really value benefits now.
Yeah.
And I think if you can go for a company that offer really good benefits, and you can kind of match that with, if you do have another job offer, kind of match the benefits too, because we don't really do that. We always look at the salary.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not all it is.
Yeah, and also, Annabelle, I feel like in life we go through different seasons, and therefore the places you work, they can reflect those seasons.
Yes.
Just an example, if you know that you've got like no commitments, or you know that you're quite a free bird and you're like, you know what, I want to work for a company that's long hours but they pay overtime, for example.
Yes.
That's fine. Or maybe you want to go to a startup that's going to pay you a lot more than like a traditional company, but you know that you will be working hard. Or actually, if you know that you've got stuff going on at home, so you want a job that when you start and you finish not thinking about work at home, they might pay a bit less, but actually you can manage your home situation better.
A lot more.
And I think people should also bear in mind that you can find companies that match what season you're in. It's not always just about the job title or a high salary or I don't know, the location. There's so many factors to consider, but I feel like we've been taught to just think about management, job title, and a salary, and
that's
that is
it. Yeah, there's so much more that goes into, especially when you're first starting your corporate career. You might not necessarily know, but when you get into like 2-3 years, you're like, there's actually better out there. And that's when you start shopping around. Yeah. Because who says you need to be in that one job?
Yeah, so much variety.
There's so much opportunity out there too. So I definitely agree.
And just another example, I know someone who was going through like a real serious medical condition, and they could only work part-time, but the company they worked at would cover all the costs of their serious healthcare. Like I'm talking, it was like a critical illness. And even though they was earning less money, it meant they didn't have to spend £10,000-15,000 on hospital bills. So for someone like that, of course they're not going to be chasing the management job title. For them it's about survival at this point. And this is what I mean by there's different seasons in our life where we should also think about the career we need for that season.
Do you know what, I've never actually thought about your careers for the type of season. The only time I've really ever thought about it is maternity. When you have a child, obviously being a woman, one day I would love to have a child, and I've always thought, how would my career then be with that? How can, if I am still working a 9 to 5, how would that fit with the lifestyle? Because I remember when I was younger, my mum, I mean, she had just like a normal regular job. She's a dinner lady, but she would always be there for our assemblies, our school plays, everything like that. My dad on the other side, never. But that's because he was just simply busy at work. He couldn't have that. And I don't want to be that mum that don't go to their children's like plays or recitals or things like that. And I always wondered, how would that then, that's the only time I really thought about it. But you're right, there are different seasons like medical, spiritual, there's so many other things that to consider too, not just that. So I will take that in mind, actually. I actually will. So on the topic of money, I remember watching a video that you posted, and it was all about women working for free. And I'm like, what's Ivy talking about? I don't work for free. I know I get paid every month. What is Ivy talking about? So I then went online, because I didn't even know there was a gender pay day. Gender pay. I had no idea about it until you posted. And then when I did some research, this is what I found was, on average, working women take home £574 less than men each month. And when that equates to about £6,888 per year, that's a humongous amount. I then went in a little bit more, and to put this more into perspective, women from minority ethnic backgrounds, I don't really like that word, but that's what it says, have already stopped earning 2 months before Equal Pay Day. And Equal Pay Day is in November.
So last year it fell in November, and normally it's around that time, so it's about 2 months before the end of the year. So based on the gender pay gap, so November, December, technically the woman's no longer getting paid because of how big the pay gap is, but men continue to get paid until the end of the year.
And ethnic minority backgrounds, they stop earning 2 months before the equal.
I haven't heard of that stat, but that is really sad.
That is crazy to me. And it also said, which I also found, Black Caribbean women earn 18% less than our counterparts. The pay gap for all women is already, they earn 18% less than our counterparts. But I just found these numbers just like, when you actually put in perspective, because I never knew, but when you actually see the numbers there and the statistics, and we're working for free up until November or after November.
Yeah, so from around that time.
Yeah, from around that time.
But yeah, around that time.
It's just crazy to me that things like this are still happening and it's still going on, and it's not really. I mean, I know we've got the day for it and everything, but it's not really spoken about, because I've been working since 16. I've never heard of it before. So how do we then as women get ourselves out of that statistic? Is it possible? What can we do?
I love that question. So my personal opinion is the reason why we see a lot of men from like your traditional classic, maybe white backgrounds earn more is because they've got their community, right? It's if they want an internship, it's their mums, cousins, friends, uncles, neighbour, know someone. Let's get them in. So what I'm seeing more of, which I also love, is as more of us, like more women are thriving, we're creating more opportunity and we're paving the way. So it's not only about us trying to find an in or a way. Now we've actually got our own community. Like what you're building with your podcast, I know probably one day there's someone's younger sister who's going to be like, oh, can you ask Annabelle if maybe she knows someone? You're going to have a network of women who will probably be able to get an internship for someone in a community. Like, to give you an example, I'm first generation, right? So that meant I'm the oldest out of 3 girls. So when it was eldest child syndrome. So what that meant for me is, like, when I was trying to get internships and try and figure out how to get into jobs, I would try and like email people. I remember I used to be on like Indeed, Read. I used to like go up to different store managers and say, can you get me a job in head office? And all by God's glory, I was able to do that and I was able to pave the way. But now my youngest sister, who is 16, she is looking for work experience. I'm able to message my friends. I've got friends who they've got friends who work in politics. One of my other friends works in finance. So it's like, oh yeah, let me speak to this person. So this is what I mean by, as we're coming up, we pave the way. And I feel like this will help to reduce this data and this statistics.
Yeah, I think because it's so scary, and I don't want to think about, like, I just want the numbers to decrease and not to increase, because in the back of my mind I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if it's like this now, I don't know, are the numbers, do you know if the numbers are increasing or decreasing every year?
So I know that gender pay day is actually getting better.
Oh, good.
But in terms of last year's stats, I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Okay, no problem.
I'm not sure, but we know, the pay gap still exists. But that's how we've had a law came into force where it was looking at pay gap equality. So companies that are over a certain size, they have to report on the different pay grades.
Great.
And things like that are to support us with like reducing the pay gap. Yeah,
that's really good. At least it's going into the right direction. But it's so interesting to see these numbers, and it's scary.
I know. And a lot of companies that are really set up in a good way and structured for different positions in their companies, they've got different gradings. Similar to like how you see it in like NHS, you're a different grade. This is where your salary sits. So when companies have that, it really helps to reduce.
So everybody in that grade gets paid the same amount.
Yeah, even if it's not like the same penny and pound, you're going to be within that same range
bracket,
as long as you sit on that grading. So a lot of larger companies have that in place.
That's really good, because we need it. I mean, we can't be working for free. Like, come on now, not in 2024. Like,
when your alarm comes on, you know that you're doing it for
working
free.
for free. What? No. That's not possible. There was one video that you posted. There was like things that women are doing wrong in the workplace, and I'm sure my boyfriend's over there can testify that I over apologize for everything. And you said that, and I know it's not a good thing, especially in the corporate world, but I can literally say sorry for my favorite one is sorry for disturbing you. Like, why am I even saying sorry? I can go up to my manager.
I've done it before as well. I used to do it.
And I'm like, oh, sorry that I'm late, or I'm just always saying sorry. And when I deep it and I think about it, it's probably coming from a lack of confidence. That's what I think. Personally, for me, is like, or maybe I'm moving a bit too shy, or I don't want to come across too like I'm intruding, or I'm being rude. So I always start with sorry, but really it shows like you're a bit timid. Like, do you know what I mean? So what are the mistakes that women are making in the corporate, in their corporate 9 to 5, and how can we just overcome it?
Before I answer that question, a really easy way to get over the sorry thing, instead of saying, oh, sorry to disturb you, you can just say, oh, can I have 2 minutes of your time? So you're still being polite to say, I need to ask you something. But when you're saying, can I have 2 minutes of your time, they have the option to say yes or no. They're not really going to say no. They'll be like, give me 5, or let's go for it now. And also when you say sorry, you're almost like telling the other person that you're a burden, but you're not a burden. Sometimes even you taking the time to ask them a question will prevent you from maybe making a mistake or something. And that's for everyone's benefit. So don't ever feel like you're a burden. Just know that you are asking questions, and people who ask questions always go far. People who have questions in their mind and they never even vocalize them, inside they're like dying. They want to ask, but they don't. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you're asking. My heart would be beating. I'd be like, my heart will be beating. Like, what do I do? What do I do? But if you just ask the question, like, I don't know why in my mind I feel like I'm being a burden. Or you're not. You just want to clarify a point. Like, for example, if I'm in a meeting, right, and they've said something, I'm like, no, I still don't get it. I'll be like, look, I know you've already explained, but can I just clarify, is this what you meant? So that's like another way of asking them, can you tell me that again? But you're saying, here's what I heard, can you just clarify? So when you do that, you actually come across as more confident, because you're making them realize that you need information from them so that you can move forward with what you need to do. And more times they're going to just be like, it's fine. I don't know, I'm in my head. No, we're always in our head. Okay, it's so true. The other thing I think we do, which I have also done before, is, there's 2 things, is like when you're so humble that you're actually fading into the background because you... And actually, this connects to the second point. It's like when you get complimented by management and you don't want them to do it in front of people. You're like, I did that. Yeah, it's fine. I did a good job. So those 2 things, I feel like they go hand in hand. It's true. The reason why this is a mistake we make at work is because when we don't toot our own trumpets, when we don't like hype ourselves up, if we don't do it, how can we expect other people to do it? There are people who are advocating for themselves, all the work they've done, and sometimes the work they've done is not even that epic. It's just because they've got good PR for themselves. And the more noticeable you are, the more you'll be recognized by your manager, by management. So when it comes to promotion conversations, it's not you now saying, I've done all these things. And like, have you? Really? When? Exactly. I don't remember you speaking about that. No, like when you go into that conversation, it needs to be so fresh in their mind because you've been your own like PR manager. Yeah, I think that's really good because I'm the type of person to, I feel like this is coming to a therapy session. Like, if I'm honest, this is coming to a therapy. But I'm also the type of person, I don't like to take compliments. Well, when someone compliments me, I'm just like, please. Like, leave me. It's very awkward. Or when they send like a group email, like congratulate, I'm just like, I don't want that attention on me. But you're right, you should see it as little achievements. Like maybe when you have your one-to-one, you could be like, I've done this and this and that. And if you haven't been advocating for yourself, how do you expect your manager to remember? How do you expect yourself to remember? Because you haven't said anything about it. So I definitely agree. Do you have any other tips, or what was the question? So you were asking about things that we might do wrong, but I also wanted to know, why do you think you don't like compliments at work or in general? If I'm honest with you, that is coming maybe from... When I was younger, I used to get bullied a lot, and I'm the type of person... I'm sorry. No, it's fine. Am I over it? Maybe. I'm not sure, because little things like this kind of creep up. But I think when I used to get bullied a lot, I kind of hide myself away, and because of that, I don't want attention. It seems weird because now I'm doing this whole podcast and putting myself online. But you're in control of it. Exactly. Maybe that's why you feel safe. And I'm very aware of it. Maybe a few years ago, I wouldn't be aware, but I'm very aware of how I think and maybe the reasons why I think in certain ways. But I think it's because, when I was younger, I used to get bullied, so I don't want that attention. I will hide away. So when I get that attention and it's in a group setting, naturally I just want to hide away because like, why is everybody looking at me? Okay. That's where it comes from, really. I would say. But if you've done something, you deserve that attention. If you've done something good, you deserve that accolade, that spotlight. You deserve the compliment. I feel like it's not only you. Like I feel like a lot of us do it when someone compliments us. Like when you said to me, I like your jacket. I straight away I was like, I ordered something else and it didn't come. I could have just said thank you. I think we naturally just do it. And this is completely off topic, but I remember watching this campaign. I don't want to. It was a beauty company. I don't want to say the wrong company. No. So it was like women who were in a coffee shop at a table. table,
Okay.
and there was a table where there were actresses, and there was they stayed at that table for a couple of hours, and then obviously there was a free table where other women could come and have drinks and stuff and coffee, whatever. And then where the actresses were, they were like, you look so fat, like you look so ugly, oh my gosh, your skin looks so bad. And they were basically scripting what we say to ourselves a lot of the time, like our own self-talk. And the whole point of the campaign was like, if you wouldn't even speak to your friends, your family like this, why are you speaking to yourself like this? Your own voice is so negative that you can't now even accept compliments. You put on something, you look in the mirror, oh my gosh, I look fat. Like, you would never say that to your friends or your family, so why do we do it to ourselves? And when I saw that campaign, I was like, damn, yeah, it's true. Yeah. We do this so often, and a lot of the times, even when we're going through, like, I don't know, health journey or whatever, like, you walk past the mirror every time you're talking negatively, but I don't know if you notice, when you look in the mirror and you say, actually, I look amazing, in your mind, you've already even started to lose weight, because that voice, that self-talk is now transformed to be more positive. So it's kind of a bit similar at work. Yeah. If you're knocking yourself down and trying to push yourself into a corner, that is where you will always stay.
Yeah, because if you're telling your mind that, it's going to then come into the physical too. Yeah. It's that you're feeding yourself that negative thought. And maybe I need to kind of, what is weird is that I'm aware of the things that I'm doing, but I don't change it. So now that I'm aware, I think that's the biggest step, is being aware. And then now you have to take those proactive steps to start changing. I find it very hard to talk positive about myself or about in general, but I'm aware of where it's come from, about being bullied and all of that. Maybe I just don't want that attention. I just find active ways to deal with it. I'm a grown woman. Why am I still acting like this? You know what I mean?
If you feel that voice coming, just pray. Yeah. That will shut up those voices. Yeah. And I'm so confident that it will. Just don't let it creep in. You just pray, you move on. If it comes again, you pray, you move on. Yeah.
I'll take on that advice.
Yeah. Let me know how it goes.
Turning into a therapy session, you know. Literally, I feel like I'm about to cry.
No.
Literally. So I saw you also posted a video about your 2024 ins and out.
Yes.
So for those who don't know what the ins and out is, basically things that you are, for the ins, is things that you are bringing into your life. And for the outs, things that you're taking out of your life. One really stood out to me, and I think it was time saving. Was it time saving?
I honestly can't remember.
I wrote it down somewhere. Systems for saving time.
Yes.
And I thought that was interesting because everybody wants to save time. And I do get a lot of women coming up to me and be like, I don't have time for my loved ones after work, hanging around with friends, especially myself. I find it really hard to make time outside of work. So I know we're still in January, but have you found any systems that has worked for you to save time?
Yeah, so firstly, we're not just one-dimensional, right? We are sisters, daughters, friends, cousins, girlfriends. There's so many elements to us. So we also want to be healthy. We want to make money. We want to be strong. We want to be spiritual. Like, to do everything is very difficult, but it's possible if we make a way for it. So what works for me personally may not work for other people, but for example, I use like different apps to structure my time. And I have I do my meal prep on the weekends. I know it sounds really geeky, but if I don't meal prep for the week, on the weekend for the week, I'll just end up using Deliveroo. I just don't like cooking every single day. So I'll do that, for example. I like using Notion to plan my goals. And then every week it's like, okay, what am I doing to contribute to that goal? Things like emails, we get so many marketing emails. I just unsubscribe if I don't need it, so I don't have to ever spend 2 seconds again looking at it. Because when you look at it, your mind goes down a rabbit hole. Do I need that?
Exactly.
No. So I deactivate a lot of my notifications. A lot of the time I put my phone on D&D. Like, I know one of my sisters finds that really annoying, but you have to find tools, I feel like, to protect your mental capacity. I'm also that person where it gets to a certain point where I'm so fatigued emotionally, I can't do anything else. Like, I need to protect my creativity, even at work. So in the morning, first thing in the morning, I will not do meetings at that time. And also at the end of the day, I will not do meetings at that time, because I know in my mind, that's my most strategic time to plan for what I need to do for the day and for the following day as well. And also just thinking about, when you say you're going to do something for yourself, just do it. If you know you said you're going to, I don't know, go to a gym class on this day, just go. Because if someone asks you to meet up, you would go.
You'll
so
go.
it's like, why do
I
we
would
not
go.
why do we not make those commitments to
Yeah.
ourselves? So often it's like us versus us. So just being really strict, even like with my finances, a lot of it's so automated as well.
Yeah.
So I don't even have to think about it. So
Yeah.
those are the kind of processes.
I really appreciate that, especially you talking about like your own personal experiences with it. And I do think we all need to make time for our loved ones. It's not, when I was speaking, I had another guest on the show, Kirsty Ann, and we were talking about making time. And one of the things that she did say is that your work cannot become your life. It needs to be separate. And now that I've heard it and I know it, I'm going to try it. And you're saying the same thing too. And it's true, work cannot be your life. There are so many different parts to a woman in general. Like you said, one day, mothers, wife, sisters, there's so many of us. Alongside that is our careers too. We're just one person. Literally,
No,
we're just girls, like we're just a girl. Like, so we do need to kind of manage our time much more proactively and be more, what's that word, productivity?
Be more productive.
Be more
Definitely,
productive because we can't do everything. We're not. And sometimes we make feel like we're super women. And if you feel like that, one day you're just going to get to a burnout point of stage and you're not going to want to do anything. So we need to be more proactive with how we set our time. I definitely agree. So thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
Did you want to emphasize?
Just one other thing. Like even when you say don't let your work become your life, are you speaking about 9 to 5 or like your entrepreneurship?
Everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So just working in general. Like you have workaholics.
Yeah.
They work too long, and then that just becomes their identity. It becomes their life, and then they fall into the trap where they start losing friends because maybe their friends are messaging them and they're not replying. They're not going out anymore. It's just work has become them.
I think, if you have a balance, you can definitely make it happen. So when it comes to the 9 to 5 and work element, when you're looking for a new job, you should interview your manager just the same way they're interviewing you. So for example, an important thing for me is I would ask them, if someone in your team has a personal thing going on or has an issue, as a manager, how do you support them? Such a basic question, but then you will understand if that manager going to say, oh my gosh, I would allow them to take time off? Are they going to say, well, there's a policy, so they have to use the days in the policy? Just little things like that, you can tell if a company is right for you or not. So I think we all owe it to ourselves, like, to not be so desperate for a job that you're actually compromising what is important for you. Because if you compromise, you'll end up in that job. Something may happen, life happens, and then you feel like you can't even get time off. So why are you trapped in that environment? But also when it comes to entrepreneurship, so I know some founders and they literally work all day, all night.
Wow.
And for them that works. I'm not saying for me it would work, but what they did is they communicated to their loved ones, look, I'm hustling for the next 2 years. I love you, I'll be there for your birthdays, but you're not going to see a lot of me. But it's the fact that they vocalized it to the people who are close to them. Does it mean they would have to sacrifice now a bit because some relationships aren't going to be how they would be? Yeah, but I think they've been prepared to pay for that sacrifice. So I feel like we all have to ask ourselves, what sacrifice are we willing to have or not have?
Yeah, that is actually very true. Because once again, we just see the salaries. Sometimes we don't actually think about the sacrifices that we're making. Because work in general takes so much time from us. So why would you want it to take up more time? Especially when there's stages in your life that you might need that time back. How is work going to help you in that journey? They should also be adapting to your life too, and not you trying to adapt to work life.
And it comes back to the seasons that we spoke about. Like if for example, next year you want to buy a property, so you're like, you know what, let's just get a job where we know we're going to be working 12-hour days, but we know at the end of the month we're going to get that paycheck. Once you buy your property, you move on to a job where you've got a soft life and you've got your time back. So the seasons work so well.
Definitely. So another thing that really stood out to me watching your content is the biblical teachings with leadership. I am also Christian, so it really did touch me, but I never thought of using the Bible to take leadership skills to fit it into your 9 to 5. And when you put it in the context, especially the Proverbs one, which I'm going to read out, was Proverbs 15:22. Without counsel, plans fail. With many advisors, they succeed. And that was just like mind blowing to me because it's like, why have I never thought of this before? Because I do read the Bible.
Yeah.
I'm aware of like the different quotations, but I have just never thought of applying it to business or to your 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So how did you come about doing that, first of all?
Yeah.
And the second question to that was, you used this first and you was like, you made reference that it's really important to have it as, to have a coach, mentor and sponsor throughout your career based on the biblical teaching.
Yes.
So why is it important to have a coach, a mentor and a sponsor, I believe, in your career?
Yeah. Shall I start with the first part?
I always make a habit when I ask 2 questions in one. I need to stop that.
It's fine.
So sorry.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. So honestly, God told me to start that series. So I was at home. You know what it's like when you're working on your social media, and I was just like, God, I'm feeling a bit stuck. And you know when you just, sometimes God just checks you and you're just sitting there reflecting. And for me personally, any time I felt like something wasn't right or wasn't working, when I turned my face away from the world and man and face it towards God, it all just makes sense. And I was like, obviously, like there are so many leadership and career lessons in the Bible. Let me just look into this more. And I remember just like spending time reading it. I was honestly, my heart was so full when I was just exploring and finding this. And I sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional.
No, it's fine. I feel emotional too.
I was just like, wow, this, like, God, this is you speaking to me right now. And you know what's crazy is normally when I film my TikTok videos, I have to do like, stop and start, do a bit of a take. But what is so interesting is all the videos I've done where it's leadership lessons from the Bible, I literally do them in one take in like 40 seconds. Because you know when you hear a message from God, you just verbalize it. There's no script. You just go with it. So I just think, what is the scripture I want to refer to? And in that example, Proverbs, where it speaks about having many people with you to be successful, I was like, that is so true. When I think about my career, the benefit of a coach, mentor and sponsor has been so impactful. I thought, do people even know about this and how they can use this? So that's why I made that video, so people could be aware. Because when you have that trio, it is a powerful trio thing, and it will literally propel you forward in your career.
Wow. So what's the difference between each of them?
So a coach normally is someone external of your company. It could be someone internal. But a lot of the time, the reason why it's good to be someone external is so you feel like there's no judgment. You can really come to them with things that maybe you wouldn't feel comfortable sharing with someone internally. So this is maybe, let's just say a random example. You could say to your coach, if you were my coach, Annabelle, I was in a meeting at work and this person spoke over me. They didn't even give me a chance to speak. I tried to speak up, but I just crumbled inside. Can you please help me understand why I did that? How could I overcome that? A coach will help you with that. And yes, you could go to your manager for that. Although what's interesting is your manager will help you in that moment, in that situation, although a coach will give you life skills. And it's not only for in-work environments. It's like now, wherever I'm walking, whoever I'm engaging with, I will not allow someone to talk over me because I've learned a skill from my coach. A mentor is someone in your company a lot of the time because they know the ins and outs and dynamics in your company. So when you speak to them about situations you're going through, it can be good situation, doesn't also have to be challenging. They will help you find different ways to think about things. And that's why it's good sometimes to not have someone who's your manager, because sometimes your manager's so in the trenches of how your team operates that they may not often pick up a different way to they may not pick up, I guess, a creative solution. But a mentor, like let's say if I work in HR, my mentor could be in finance, my mentor could be in marketing. They would probably approach different circumstances in a different way. And a sponsor could also be someone in your company. So let's say, Annabelle, you want to go to an event that is being held externally. Your company has to pay, but actually there's not enough budget, let's say. Your sponsor could be someone who approaches your managers like, Annabelle is doing so well. I feel like this event would like propel her forward in her career. I really think we need to help her go to this event.
Like an advocate?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
literally, a sponsor's like an advocate. So someone who is senior and literally they've got your back. They will help you move forward in your career. So they've all got different kind of elements. And if you just think those 3 people, plus if you've got an amazing manager as well, well, there's no reason why you wouldn't thrive in your
Move
career.
forward, yeah.
Sometimes your manager can also be your sponsor, and that's also good. Some people unfortunately don't have a manager who can be a sponsor. It's very like professional. We do what we need to do and that's it. I mean, I feel really lucky. I've had managers who have been advocates for me.
Wow.
If you have a manager who can mention your name in rooms when you're not even there, that is just like priceless, because it will always mean that you're being put forward for opportunities. And the way that your manager will do that is, it goes back to you advocating for yourself. If your manager can see that you're really in this, and not just in this as in this job title, but you're in it for yourself and you love what you do, of course they're going to want to support you to move forward, because you're advocating your passions as well.
So is it a matter of asking them to become...
So in the past, I've asked for people to mentor me. Like in my company, I've seen people who I find inspiring. I'm like, why do I love the way this person speaks? I want to get to know them better. So let me just say that sentence again. My voice cracked for some reason. Let me start again. So I have asked people to be my mentor in the past. So like I've witnessed people and I've just been like, oh my gosh, this person's so inspiring. I want to get to know how they've gotten to where they are. So I've just literally approached them and they've said yes. A coach, so I had someone internally, but I now pay for a coach myself. You know, when we speak about investing in a coach for me has been like one of the most impactful things that I have done, because you learn like the blueprint and you fast track yourself as well. And also sponsor, it's weird, I almost just naturally end up having sponsors. I think when you're close to God and you have favor, people naturally just end up liking you, and
opportunities
exactly, so you get blessed with sponsors.
I've always heard, everybody that's told me that they've invested in a coach has always told me it's like a life-changing thing, and it's made me think, I'm going to reach out to you guys to be my coach, because every time, like literally every single person that has told me they've had it is always like, it's the best investment that they have ever made. It's fast-tracked whatever stage in life that they want to fast-track to. And it's the same with mentorship too. And one thing that really stood out to me is I've always been an advocate for collaborating. I don't ever think it's good to work by yourself. And I think that Bible verse really shows the beauty in collaboration. And when you're working in conjunction with many people, like this podcast would not be possible without the women that are coming onto the show and helping me and collaborating, the producing, there's like this, it can't be done with one person. So the beauty in collaboration, and I would like to say it with the audience too, sometimes, especially as Black women, we feel like we can do it all by ourselves, and we really, most times we can't. We need a community, we need people, we need advocates, we need coaches, we need mentorship. I know sometimes it comes with a price, but there is so many ways to get things for free. You know what I mean? There's collaboration. Sometimes it's just reaching out to somebody on social media, and if they see the same vision, there's no problems there. If you do have the investment, invest in yourself. I think I'm getting to that age now where a lot of people are telling me about coaching, a lot of people are telling me about mentorship. Maybe it's time to make that investment initially, because I'm hearing about it all the time, and it's still part of collaboration. So thank you so much for showing us that you can get biblical teachings and incorporate that into your 9 to 5, into your career. Of course, you can go to the Bible for any sort of stages in your life, the life changes, but see if it can be incorporated into other aspects of your life that you might not think, and it can really just change your perspective, because it really did with me, and I really did see there is a beauty in collaboration.
Where 2 or more are gathered, he is there. So sometimes, it's true, as women, we're like, I'm so strong, I'm independent, I can do this. But even if you look at Adam, you know, Eve, how she was created from him, like 2 people together are powerful. And yes, we can go far, but we can go further if you have the right people close to you, because sometimes you have people with you in your corner. It's sad to say, but they're even waiting for your downfall. So that's where discernment also comes in as well.
It's very, very true. There's so much to think about. This is another thing I believe. I always think your 9 to 5 should be funding your dream life, whether that is property investment, whether that's your business or whatever you want to do. I always think your 9 to 5 should be funding that. But what other ways can you become financially free with your 9 to 5? And what does that even like mean for the audience that don't know?
So when I speak about financially free, everyone has their own version of financially free, but something that really stuck with me is having a rich life. So Ramit Sethi teaches about rich life. So for me, for you, for anyone watching, we've all got our own versions of rich life. So random example, if my rich life is to work in an environment where I can take my laptop and go work anywhere I want, I can do errands at certain times in the day maybe, or maybe if there's something going on at home and I want to be able to be present, perhaps my rich life means I can fund trips and not have to rely on a loan, for example, or perhaps my rich life means actually I can build an emergency fund 6 months, 12 months. So if I want to take a break from work, I can. For me, example, that might be my rich life. For someone else, that could mean something else. And with the online world that we love, it teaches us that being financially free means you're a millionaire or a billionaire, but I feel like everyone has a number and we owe it to ourselves to figure out what is our number, what does our version of our rich life have. To give you an example, the car I have is not a flashy car. Like I could have bought a much more expensive car, but for me, I'm not like a car person. For me, I would have rather spent money and bought a property, because for me, I thought, okay, if I can get onto the property ladder, that will have more returns instead of increasing my outgoings to get like a flashy car. Of course, the car's gonna look nice, but that will come at another season. And when you have a 9 to 5, I feel like it's seen as a bit boring. It's like you can't really have an amazing lifestyle, but investments shouldn't be like on steroids. Investment should be stable because then you get a return year on year. So you can use your 9 to 5 to fund your rich life, and it starts with identifying what is your rich life. How do you split your incomings? So some of it should go on, having fun, but how much of it goes into investments? How much of it goes into your future self, like coaching, for example? How much of it goes into the things that give you pleasure? How much of it goes into, let's say, if one of your things was being able to fund for your parents to go back home, can you do that? And if you can, then yes, you have got your own version of your rich life. So this is what I mean by using your 9 to 5 to become financially free. You don't have to be a millionaire, billionaire just because the internet tells you to. You just become the thousandaire, maybe, if that's what is right for you, and if that's enough, because otherwise the goalpost keeps moving and you'll never be happy if you don't know what your end point is.
That's made me think I need to think about what my rich life is. Because you're so right. When you look online and it's like use your 9 to 5 to be financially free, a lot of the time people think, how am I going to be a millionaire or a billionaire? But really it's all subjective. I could think that maybe 50k, I'll be happy with 50k. It could be 10, it could be 5, whatever it is. I think you just, like you said, establish what that first point is, work towards it, and then once you get there, you can now start doing adjustments again. And it's really good that you stated too, you didn't want to buy the flashy car because you rather use the money to invest into property. And you need to start, the audience too need to start to think about the seasons of their life that they're in right now. If your rich life is maybe having a property or maybe moving abroad, how are you then using your 9 to 5 to fund that? So that is a really good perspective and spin on that. So thank you for sharing that.
That's okay. And something I always say is like, if I want to buy something new that is expensive, I always tell myself I need to earn that money first before I go and buy it, because then that's where lifestyle creep just happens. Like it just happens without you even realizing.
Consumerism
exactly
too.
So if I've proven to myself that I can earn that money, then sure, I will do it. I will get that car. I've got the car. I already know what car I want to get, and I will get it. The time will come, but I'm okay with being patient for it. So
and prioritizing
too, and not letting the world make us feel like we're constantly behind. Even like when I was looking into investing, and obviously this isn't financial advice, but I realized even things like if I had started investing when I got my first job when I was like 16, 17, due to compound interest, I could have been a millionaire
that's what I'm saying.
by the time I was like 36. And I'm just looking at the numbers.
But then we never really knew
we
about
didn't know
things like
exactly.
That. Never.
So I tell like my younger sister things like this, and this is where it goes back to the community of people who are ahead and the ones that are not ahead. Sometimes lack of knowledge is how we will perish, unfortunately. So now that we know, we've got to teach people, and we've got to hear it from genuine people, because sadly some people are teaching it because they want to get a gain. Exactly. So you just need to know that who you're hearing it from, that they're also doing it themselves as well.
That's very true.
If someone said to me, you know what, if you start investing from the age of 26, 27, 28, you can become a millionaire by 50, instead of having to chase the bag and you're not happy because you're trying to do drop shipping, trying to do this, trying to do that, and now all your savings are gone, but it's going to take you longer, maybe that's okay, because between now until 35, 40, you're still living life, and that's okay, but your investments are growing in the background.
Yeah, I think there's beauty in, is it prolonged gratification?
Yeah.
Like playing the long game, and sometimes you just have to be patient. I think things that you have to be patient for are the things that are going to be the
worthwhile,
most worthwhile. There is things like drop shipping, which is like instant if done right, but then you're just going to be chasing the next fix, and then when it comes to like 10 years, 5 years later, because at the same time, all that money, you still need to invest it into something else. That money will just go. So you need to think of more long-term and prolonged gratification. I definitely believe in that too, but it's a mind thing if you want to be patient.
I'll tell you this story about going not too much on a tangent. A story that someone told me is there was this farmer, he had a tomato farm, he had a wife, he had kids, he had his crops, he was selling his tomatoes, and then these investors came along. They were like, oh, your tomatoes are doing really well, why don't you set up your own organization, set up multiple farms, sell to supermarkets, so that you can earn more money and just do really well. And the farmer's like, all right, so if I spend 10 years doing this, what will happen after? He was like, when you're done, you can retire and spend time with your family and kids. But that's what he was doing already anyway.
And still making a good income.
Yeah, so it's like people tell us to go do this, go do that, so you can have the life that you're actually already having. And that's why it's good to think about what is your rich life today, because you might already have your rich life without you realizing it, because you're trying to live someone else's rich life just because the internet told you so.
That's so true, because we get so consumed about what's on the internet, and you're seeing other things that people have. You could already be living the life that you want, but it's going to pass you like if you don't open your eyes and evaluate.
And let me answer you a question. If I said to you, Annabelle, 2 options, you've got a really long tree and you need to cut it down, would you rather spend 5 years sharpening an axe, and when you get that axe and you hit that tree, it will fall? Or would you rather take an axe now, it's a bit blunt, but you can just keep going at the tree? What would you pick?
Girl, let me think about it. So that axe that is blunt, you don't really know if it's going to actually work. You'll just keep going. I'd rather wait 5 years and keep picking at that and know instantly it will go down.
In one shot, it's going to go down.
One shot, because you don't know. How long would you be standing? I mean, I'm tired. How would you know?
And it's just an analogy to say, in life, we don't want to wait. We don't want to wait to achieve what we know we can achieve. We want it tomorrow. And sometimes that takes us down frustration, takes us into depression, takes us into comparison. We know comparison is the thief of joy. So it's just really recognizing where are the areas in our lives that we can be patient, but of course we've always got to be taking action as well.
Definitely. That is such a good analogy. So one of the last questions is, you really give really good corporate girly tips, and I'm not just talking about like what to wear, how to show up, but things like leadership skills in how to lead a meeting at work. I don't know how to lead a meeting, but when I saw that, I'm like, wow, maybe I need to learn. Do you want to delve into that a bit more, like leading meeting? Because I think too, when you're new to a job, you don't want to be, personally, I didn't want to put myself forward to be leading meetings, or you just don't want to show up as that, because sometimes when we come across as leadership, they might see it as, who do you think? As long as, that's what I think in my head.
No,
who do they think who she is? Like, you know what I mean? So I'm a mess up in my head. Literally, my head is messed up. But cause now I'm thinking, Annabelle, why do you think that? But really,
I'm happy you're checking yourself.
I'm literally talking about, Annabelle, really, why do you actually think that? But regardless, so how do you actually lead a meeting? Even if it's like your one-to-one or just a corporate setting meeting in general?
So the first thing to think about is when you're in a meeting, other people in that meeting don't want you to fail. Already in our mind, we're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to say the wrong thing. How do I even screen share? Like, have I got the right information? But people do not want you to fail. People want to know what you've got to say. And sometimes, like, just think about it as if you're a dinner host. You want to give people an experience. It's like if you were asked to do a presentation or go speak to a group of people, you are giving them an experience. So this sounds really basic, but the best thing is actually to prepare.
Yeah.
What is the outcome that you want to achieve in this meeting? How do you want people to feel in this meeting? What are the action points that you want at the end of this meeting? So whenever I send a meeting request to anyone, it doesn't have to be like War and Peace, but I'll literally just summarize, this is what we're going to talk about. And they know how much time we've got. They know the subject line, the right people are invited. And during the meeting, it's always given everyone a chance to talk, because sometimes we feel like when we're leading a meeting, we've got to do all the talking. But no, it's like if I was in a meeting, I'll be like, Annabelle, what do you think about this? Or, you know, what does this person think? Or does anyone have any other thoughts they want to address? But you know, setting up that meeting, you've got an outcome that you want to get to. So by the end of the meeting, so of course during the meeting, so you're taking key points,
Yes.
you're capturing key points, but then you want to make sure that the meeting is also actionable, and it wasn't just a meeting for vibes.
For vibes, it's
so,
true.
So you want to know who are the people you need to follow up with, who said that they were going to do a certain thing. So then what I do after meetings is I send an email after to say thank you everyone for joining. Just to recap, here are the main points we've discussed, and also in terms of next steps, here's what we need to do. So I'll be like, Annabelle at, here's what we need from you, Ivy at, so and so at, if we can please regroup by X date. So you say who the people are, you say what you need them to do, you give them a date, and then also I'll set a reminder in my calendar or in my Asana to go back and follow up with those people before the deadline date as well.
That is great advice, because my manager does that. Why don't I do that?
And you can. You could start tomorrow if you wanted to.
I actually am. I've got a meeting tomorrow. I'm actually going to do that. And I'm meant to be leading it because it's a marketing meeting anyway. So at the end, I'm just going to be like, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And it's not, I think too, sometimes I get scared that it will come across in a, like, why does she think she can say
you kind of
that?
look organized. And people love working with organized people. Like, you don't have to say, but have you ever worked with someone who you just constantly have to chase them, you have to remind them? It's like, why am I reminding you to do what you're meant to be doing? Like, it takes up so much of your brain capacity.
It does.
People love organized people, and even if it's just a meeting with you and your manager, it's your one-to-one. Obviously, there are going to be things that you want to speak about. You could even send to your manager ahead of that meeting, by the way, here are the points that I'm going to want to discuss. Bullet point, simple, sweet, or maybe, depending on your manager's style, maybe you and your manager have like a running doc, a live doc. Whenever you think of anything during the week, you just pop it in there. So when it's time for you and your manager to meet, you can even refer to that as your thing. So you know, like, I don't know if you've ever left a meeting like, oh, I forgot to ask that. So like when you've got it listed there, it's just easy for you to refer back to as well.
True. And it also holds you accountable that you do need to say these things. Right, so I got a dilemma.
Oh gosh, okay, go on.
Someone sent through a dilemma. So what normally happens is I've been getting a lot of messages, people sending me the dilemmas, and then I literally just pick out one that I think will be best suited for the guests, or I know that they'll be able to speak about. Hey Annabelle, love what you're doing with the podcast, super inspiring. I'm reaching out because I'm dealing with something and thought you might have some insights. So here's the deal. I'm a black woman in a corporate setting doing my thing, but lately I've been struggling with a lack of confidence at work. It's like I doubt myself even when I know I'm good at what I do. It's affecting my ability to speak up in meetings and go for opportunities I know that I could nail. Any chance you can talk about boosting your confidence at work on the podcast, or maybe you have some advice from your own experience? Thanks a bunch for creating a space where we can share these things. Excited to hear on your thoughts. It sounds like it was written by me. If I'm honest with you, I'm going through the same. It sounds like I wrote this.
Confidence. You know, with confidence, I feel like it's never a thing where you learn once and that is it. It's an ongoing thing. Through life circumstances, you'll become more confident. Sometimes something will knock you back, and that is okay. So for that person or for whoever's dealing with that, I would ask yourself first, why do you feel that you don't feel confident? Is it because of lack of knowledge? Is it because, I don't know, everyone in the room looks different from you? Are you the only black woman in that room? Is it because you feel like you're unprepared? Is it because you have had a difficult day that day? Is it because you and those colleagues, there's a lot of unspoken resentment that's going, like, there's literally so many reasons. And I think before we even move forward, that person or anyone who's dealing with it has to ask themselves, why do I not feel confident? So to give an example, if I think back to times when maybe I didn't feel confident, I used to feel like I was the youngest. I didn't feel like I was the youngest person in a room of management. So already for me, it's like ageism. Oh my gosh, do I look credible enough because I look younger than a lot of people? That's where my lack of confidence came from. But when I realized, actually, I know my stuff, I did not hold back. Regardless if those people were 20 years older than me or 10 years older than me, I always spoke my opinion because I always felt like I was speaking on behalf of the women who are not in this room.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes when you are feeling like if we even think about maybe our siblings, our younger siblings, if we know that we're speaking the truth, that they will one day, God willing, come and speak, it gives us more confidence to lead with conviction when we're not feeling confidence. So if that person feels like, actually, I don't have other people to speak on behalf of, say, what would the younger version of myself would have wanted me to do? And when I find that we look back on what we wish we could have been when we're younger, it's like the whole new person is alive. And the third tip is to create an alter ego. So when you have an alter ego that shows up when you're nervous, you kind of detach from that nervous state, and the alter ego babe is killing it in that conversation. So that's a way to overcome feeling nervous or feeling lack of confidence.
One thing I would say is sometimes you have to fake it until you make it. Literally, there's times where I'm just faking that I'm a confident person, and like you said, I don't know where that person has come from.
But you're not faking it. You are confident.
Exactly, yeah. In a way, sometimes.
No, it's not in a way. You are actually confident.
Yeah, but it is still you. At the end of the day, it is still you. You're just...
The thing I find so interesting about fake it till you make it is you're not faking it, though. That's why I say alter ego instead. Maybe we just change the language because your alter ego is still you. It's just a different version of you that shows up with more vim, with more
but
conviction.
it's still you.
But it's still you because you know that you can deliver.
Yeah.
So when you're faking it, it's like you were never that person. But I believe that you can be confident in those situations. So maybe your alter ego just needs to show up to work more days until you actually are her constantly. Then when you embody her, then you create a new alter ego who's like even at a higher level, and then you embody that person as well.
That is so good. And I think one thing that you really said that pointed out is you need to find out why you're feeling that way. So with me, I know it's come from like bullying and all of that, and that's why I know why I think certain things. So I think once you hammer in as in why you think like that, you can kind of be like, okay, how can you now overcome it? What steps that you can take? And like you said, it's a lifelong thing, really. You're always going to develop. You're always going to find new ways to be confident. It's not really an overnight thing. So when you find that one thing that you know, this is the reason why, you can address it. And you can start taking them small steps to becoming that woman that you really want to be and embody. So that's a really good...
And you'd be surprised. Sometimes we see people at work who may be senior managers, directors, we're thinking, oh, they'd never be nervous, but they get nervous as well. Every time you dial up in your life, it's a new climate. You have to get accustomed to it. Then once you dial up again. You're like, oh my gosh, where am I? Then you get accustomed to it. Then you dial. We're all human beings. We all go through this. So it's also recognizing that if you feel that lack of confidence, it's not that you are not capable. It's just you haven't really stepped into that climate and become accustomed to it.
It's true. I need to become accustomed to it. In my head, I'm just thinking, Annabelle, like, what are you actually...
Just think about if... This is going to sound a bit weird. This is what I think about sometimes. Let's say if I wasn't even sitting here, right? And Annabelle in 10 years' time literally came and sat down next to you. How would she dress? How would she talk? How would she walk? How does she present herself? Literally. Think about that Annabelle. Like, you could be that Annabelle. So just try and think about, because think about Annabelle 10 years ago. She would probably be crying. She'll be so proud of what you're doing today.
Annabelle 10 years ago wouldn't be doing this.
So like, just, that's how you know you can unlock those new levels. You've done it already. So you will continue to do it.
Oh my gosh, I'm in the therapy session.
And I'm not that old. Don't say 10 years.
No,
I'm only 31.
I mean like the way you are right now. No. I thought you was even around my age. I never knew how old you were.
31.
No. That sounds so bad.
No, I'm joking.
I meant I hope I will be
Don't
like
worry,
you.
I'm pulling your leg on purpose. I've got really dry sense of humour, so this is my humour.
I really thought you was around my age.
Oh, is it?
Anyway.
That's good.
Yeah, but that's the end. Anyway. This is the hard part. I never know how to end the podcast.
Wait, are we doing the conclusion now?
I know a lot of women, especially myself, we deal with a lot of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
What is imposter syndrome for the audience? I don't know. And how do you navigate it? And how do you even recognize that you have imposter syndrome?
Yeah, so firstly, I would say if someone has a syndrome that is a medical syndrome, that I respect, and I want to like put that in the parking lot for a second. But when it comes to us in life and when we're elevating ourselves, I actually don't believe imposter syndrome exists, because when we speak about imposter syndrome, I actually feel like it's us minimizing our capability. So let's say, for example, if I went into a new job and I'm like, oh my gosh, actually I don't think I can do it. I wouldn't have been contacted if my CV didn't look good. I wouldn't have been going through the different interview rounds if I wasn't capable enough. I wouldn't even have gotten the job if I wasn't capable. Yeah. So why is it now that I'm here and I'm like, actually, I don't think I can do it? And that's why I don't believe in imposter syndrome in that sense, because I feel it's a label that has been put on a lot of people, women, to make them believe that we're not ready, when actually we are ready. And sometimes I feel when you attach a label to something, it then becomes a reality that you live. Oh yeah, I've got imposter syndrome. That's why I can't do. Oh yeah, you know, because of my imposter syndrome, that's why I can't lead a meeting. No, you can. And that's why even like when people go through different mental illnesses, as soon as you throw on a label, that's when they throw tablets at you. But actually maybe sometimes it didn't have to go there. So like I said, if someone actually has a syndrome, that's something different. But the word imposter syndrome, the label, I think let's not place that on ourselves if it doesn't need to be there. Instead, we just need to dial up and know that we can walk in the environment that we are in. I always believe you will never be put in a room that you don't deserve to be in. So if you're there, you can kill it in that room. Yeah.
One thing I also like to add to that is sometimes you need to deter what are feelings and what are facts.
Oh my gosh, yes.
A lot of the time imposter syndrome is just feelings and it's not true, literally. That's how I'm living my life right now. A lot of the things I'm thinking is not true. And you just need to determine what are the actual
what's the
solid
facts and what's the thought.
Like you said, they wouldn't put you in that place if you're not, and that's a fact.
If you wasn't capable.
If you wasn't capable. So why are you feeling that you can't? That is false. So already establish what is true. What are the facts, and then you go with the facts. Because you can't always rely on feelings for vibes, because you're just gonna be put in places that you don't want to be in because you're feeling like that. And then when you lead to the facts, that's when you can make more constructive feedback more, and you can go with that as opposed to feelings.
And I've come across, it's really sad, but I've come across people in their careers and their managers are not kind. They don't encourage them, they don't give them compliments, they don't acknowledge anything. So imagine you've got a boss who's constantly putting you down. Of course you're going to actually question yourself. But this is why it's so important. This sounds a bit corny, but this is why it's so important to love yourself as an individual. So even if your boss is not going to be complimenting you, that is okay. They've got something going on. And this is why you should not also define yourself as a human based on your job title. Like they're two different hats. So when you recognize that I am Ivy, you are Annabelle, we have our job titles and they are amazing job titles, and that is that. But we are individual people. So if, for example, we were in an environment where we weren't getting that sort of encouragement every day, we still have the confidence and belief in ourselves that we can do the job and we're capable. And that's kind of also where imposter syndrome, like if you were in that situation, imposter syndrome would eat away at you because you're not getting any validation, but you don't need validation.
You don't need validation. You should already be confident. No, I don't want to say the word confident, but you should already be self-aware to know that you don't need validation from your managers or from whatever, and just know that you've got yourself. You can hold yourself to your own. You shouldn't need to be like, your manager doesn't need, of course it sounds nice to say, oh, well done, good job, but you know you've done a good job, and that should be enough. and be an advocate, like we said about that, and then you move on to the next.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. Oh my gosh, it's the end. It's so sad. I really love this conversation.
Me too.
I always say at the end of each episode that I've learned so much, but that is because every guest that I have on the show has just so much value to give. And I think the information that you really like dropped today, a lot of people have been feeling like that. A lot of people are experiencing gender pay gap. A lot of people are experiencing lack of confidence at work, imposter syndrome. And I know so much women are going to just relate to this because of the information that you have, because of the experience that you have, and just like the type of person that you are. So I think the first thing I want to say is thank you for being authentic, and thank you for giving this valuable information, because a lot of people are what they call the gatekeepers. What are they?
Gatekeepers.
Is it gatekeeping? Yeah.
A lot of people withhold information.
A lot of people withhold information, and even if not withhold it, but not give the full thing. And I think the beautiful thing about you, which I caught on early on in your content, is that you give it all, and you really truly do want to help us, and it's so inspiring, and you are definitely so inspiring to me. And I really hope at one stage in my life I can just have half the confidence and like you have, because then I'll be flourishing if I did. So thank you so much for coming on to the pod and telling us about you and what you do and the information that you shared. And I really do hope we see you more.
Yeah, thank you. And also I want to say, you didn't have to share about the bullying and the things that you're also dealing with. I feel like this community that you're building is like a community of sisters because of what you are creating and how you are also being authentic. So thank you to you.
You
as
made me
well.
cry. Yeah.